Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Pavan Soni. I am the author of the book Design Your Thinking. Now, often design thinking is perceived as a panacea for all sorts of problems. People think that that is the best or the go-to model, which is certainly not true. I, being advocate of design thinking, always maintain that it is not a method for all reasons and all seasons. So in this short video, we'll try to understand the 5 attributes of a problem space that qualifies it to be treated with design thinking. So think of design thinking as a sledgehammer. Now you may not really want to use sledgehammer every time you have a nail. You need to identify the problem which is worthy of the kind of effort. So the first attribute of a problem which is worthy of design thinking is where you're dealing with audacity of goal. Now you would not really want to use design thinking to solve a problem which is puny. You need to really have a very audacious goal, which you wouldn't have achieved otherwise, because it's about completely rethinking about the problem space. And audacity would be, how does an organization grow 10 times without growing the employee base by even 10%? Or for example, how India leaps into the club of 1,000 unicorns by the year 2030. Now that's really audacious goal. Or how every state in our country should contribute, say, 100 unicorns by the end of this decade. And that's really audacious, and that kind of audacity requires design thinking. The second thing is the ambiguity of context. Now when we are living in this VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, you really do not know clear-cut causality in terms of what leads to. For instance, we still are unaware of what started COVID, or why the waves of COVID hit a certain country and doesn't hit a certain country, or grapples a certain kind of a population grapples with it easily as against somebody else. Now that is the ambiguous context. And these ambiguous contexts are very custom built for application of design thinking, because that's where the whole imperative of discovery, empathizing takes prominence. So you should try and see if the context which you are trying to manage is really ambiguous, and that's where you invoke design thinking. The third aspect is availability of time, because design thinking really requires you to have back and forth, multiple iterations. You might end up with having ideas that do not work, or the insights that are wrong, or the ideas which might take a long amount of time. Now, unless you have time with you, you would not even entertain such a divergent thinking. You will have a very straitjacketed way of thinking. And that's where having time with you gives you this empowerment of really asking some fundamental questions, exploring and experimenting. So you need to have time, which also means that you need to prioritize the problems which are worth solving. The fourth attribute is access to customers. So in design thinking, we always maintain that you are not solving a problem for the customer. You are solving a problem with the customer, in the sense that you really do not want to surprise the customer with your genius answer. At every stage of the solutioning, you would rather like to work with the customer in a very collaborative fashion. So we say that, co-discover the problem before you co-create the solution with your customer, so that there is a minimum of guesswork and minimum of wasted effort. So working with the customer is a very critical aspect, and that's where you need to have access to the customers. And finally, it's about the team, the diversity of team. Some of the most innovative companies in the world have made it a point that they invite all sorts of diversity, not the fault line diversity like gender, age, ethnicity, but also diversities in terms of attitudes, dispositions in life, academic background, etc., etc. And the more diverse your team is, which doesn't have to be limited to your organization, you can even invite your value stream partners. The more diverse your team is, the more diverse are the thoughts, the higher is the creative aberration, and better are the chances that you end up with something really genius. So this is a summary of what it takes to pick up a problem which is worth solved by design thinking. I hope this video was of use to you. You can read more about design thinking in my book, Design Your Thinking. Thank you so much.